The abandoned station commander Korvac pressed his scaled hand against the viewport, watching the endless darkness of space beyond Station Omega-7. For 300 cycles, this remote outpost had served as a neutral ground where different species came to trade, negotiate, and sometimes just exist in peace. His reptilian features reflected in the reinforced glass, golden eyes tired from another sleepless rotation. The station floated at the edge of known space, a massive ring structure that housed nearly 2 million souls from 40 different worlds. Merchants, refugees, scientists, and wanderers all called this place home. It was forgotten by most galactic powers, too far from trade routes to matter, too poor in resources to conquer. That isolation had been their protection, until today. Korvac's second-in-command, a crystalline being named Shard, chimed as she approached. Her body caught and refracted the dim station lights into rainbow patterns across the command deck walls. When she spoke, it sounded like wind through glass chimes. "Commander, we're receiving strange readings from Sector 9. Energy signatures unlike anything in our database." The old commander turned from the window, his tail dragging across the metal floor with a scraping sound that had become familiar to everyone on the bridge. He had commanded this station for 50 cycles, longer than any previous commander. In all that time, the most excitement they'd had was when a cargo ship accidentally vented its atmosphere and needed emergency assistance. "Show me the data." The holographic display materialized between them, showing swirling patterns of red and orange. Shard manipulated the image with her crystalline fingers, zooming in on specific wavelengths. "The signal started 3 hours ago. They're not natural phenomena. Something is generating massive amounts of dark energy out there, approximately 2 light hours from our position." Before Korvac could respond, every alarm on the station suddenly screamed to life. The lights flickered and died, replaced by the angry red of emergency power. Through the viewport, he saw something that made his cold blood run even colder. Ships were emerging from subspace, but not like any vessels he'd ever seen. They were wrong somehow. Twisted and organic, like diseased tissue given form and purpose. They pulsed with that same dark energy Shard had detected. "By the ancient stars," whispered Jorik, the station's chief engineer. The small furry Altarian clutched his tools like a child holding a comfort toy. "Those are devourers. They're supposed to be extinct. They've been gone for 1,000 cycles." The devourers were legends, stories told to frighten younglings across the galaxy, an ancient race that consumed entire civilizations, converting all matter and energy into more of themselves. The Galactic Alliance had supposedly destroyed them in a war that lasted centuries and cost billions of lives. But here they were, very much alive and heading straight for Station Omega-7. Korvac's military training kicked in immediately. "Send distress signals on all frequencies. Request immediate assistance from any vessel within range. Activate all defensive shields and prepare evacuation protocols." He knew it was futile. The nearest military outpost was 3 weeks away at maximum speed. They would all be dead long before help arrived. The first Devourer ship attached itself to the station's outer ring like a parasite. Where it touched, the metal began to dissolve, converting into the same organic mass as the ship itself. Civilians screamed in the corridors as they watched walls turn to writhing flesh. Parents grabbed their younglings and ran for the intersections, knowing there was nowhere to truly run to. In the medical bay, Dr. Yalen worked frantically to prepare for casualties. The 6-armed insectoid medic had served on 3 different war fronts before retiring to what she thought would be a peaceful posting. She never expected to see combat again, especially not against an enemy from ancient nightmares. Her compound eyes registered movement in every direction as nurses and assistants prepared beds that would likely never be used. The Devourers didn't leave wounded. They left nothing. The station's defense turrets opened fire, plasma bolts lighting up space like a desperate fireworks display. The energy weapons did nothing. The Devourer ships absorbed the attacks, growing stronger with each hit. It was like trying to fight entropy itself. More ships emerged from subspace, surrounding the station in a sphere of writhing, hungry darkness. Shard's crystalline form flickered with fear, an emotion her species rarely showed. "Commander, they're trying to communicate. Should I open a channel?" Korvac nodded grimly. The view screen came to life, showing not a face but a writhing mass of tentacles and eyes that hurt to look at directly. When it spoke, the voice came from everywhere and nowhere, drilling into their minds like frozen needles. "Your matter will feed our expansion. Your energy will fuel our growth. Resistance accelerates consumption. Submit to integration." This is Commander Korvac of Station Omega-7. We are a civilian installation with no military value. There are families here, children of dozens of species. We ask for mercy. The thing that might have been laughter rippled through the bridge, making everyone's teeth ache. Mercy is inefficiency. All will be consumed. All will become one with the Devourer fleet. Your biological and technological distinctiveness will be absorbed. You have one rotation to prepare. The screen went dark. In the sudden silence, Korvac could hear his own hearts beating, both of them racing with fear he hadn't felt since his youth. Around him, his bridge crew looked to him for answers he didn't have. How do you fight an enemy that feeds on your attacks? How do you save 2 million souls when the universe has forgotten you exist? Continue broadcasting distress signals, he ordered, his voice steady despite the despair crushing his chest. All frequencies, all languages. Someone out there might hear us. Young Ensign Tila, barely out of the academy, spoke up from her communication station. Her blue skin was pale with fear, but her 4 eyes remained focused on her screens. Commander, I'm picking up something strange. There's a response to our distress signal, but it's in a language I don't recognize. The computer can't translate it. Put it through the speakers, Korvac ordered, grasping at any hope, no matter how small. The bridge filled with sounds that seemed almost primitive compared to their advanced systems. It was rhythmic, harsh with hard consonants and short vowels, but there was something else there too, something that transcended language. Determination, defiance, a refusal to accept defeat that resonated in every syllable. Where is it coming from? Korvac asked. Tila's eyes widened as she checked her instruments twice, then 3 times. Commander, it's coming from the dead zone, from the direction of the Sol system. Everyone on the bridge froze. The Sol system was a quarantined sector, marked off limits by the Galactic Council over 200 cycles ago. The primitive species there, called humans, had been deemed too violent and unpredictable for contact with civilized space. They were supposed to be confined to their single planet, still fighting with chemical rockets and nuclear weapons. But the signal continued, growing stronger. And with it came something else, a massive gravitational distortion, like space itself was being torn open. The Devourer ships paused their consumption of the station's outer ring, their attention turning toward this new development. From the darkness of the dead zone, something emerged that defied every expectation. It wasn't sleek or beautiful like most galactic vessels. It was angular, brutal, all function over form. The ship was massive, easily dwarfing even the largest Devourer vessel. Its hull was scarred and pitted, painted black as space itself with only one marking visible. A blue and green sphere with a single moon. Earth. The human warship announced itself with actions, not words. Weapons ports opened along its entire length, revealing not energy weapons, but something far more primitive and somehow more terrifying. Projectile weapons, mass drivers, and something else. Something that made space itself seem to recoil. The Devourers, for the first time in their recorded history, hesitated. They had conquered advanced civilizations with antimatter reactors and quantum shields. But they had never encountered a species that had weaponized their own stubbornness, their own refusal to die. The humans had come from quarantine, breaking every galactic law to answer a distress call from complete strangers. As the human ship positioned itself between the station and the Devourer fleet, a new transmission came through. This time the translation worked, though the accent was strange and the words simple. Station Omega-7, this is the Earth Defense Vessel Persistence. We heard your call. We're here to help. Recommend you take cover. Things are about to get loud. Commander Korvac stared at the tactical display, watching as more gravitational distortions appeared. More human ships were coming. Dozens of them. Each one ugly, scarred and bristling with weapons that shouldn't work in space combat but somehow did. The humans had heard their cry for help from across the dead zone, and against all logic, all reason, they had come. The Devourer fleet began to reform, preparing to consume these new arrivals just as they had consumed so many before. But something was different this time. The humans weren't afraid. Their ships moved with purpose, with coordination that spoke of experience in impossible battles. These were not the primitive savages the Galactic Council had warned about. These were something else entirely. As the two fleets faced each other in the darkness above Station Omega-7, Korvac realized they were about to witness something unprecedented. The galaxy's forgotten children had come to fight the galaxy's ancient nightmare, and somehow impossibly it looked like they might actually win. The battle for Station Omega-7 was about to begin. and with it humanity's introduction to the wider galaxy would be written in fire and defiance. The rescue that no one expected had arrived and everything was about to change. Humanity's answer. The bridge of the Earth defense vessel Persistence hummed with controlled chaos. Captain Sarah Chen stood at the center of it all, her dark eyes fixed on the tactical display showing the Devourer fleet. Around her, 200 humans worked with an efficiency that came from years of training for a moment they'd always known would come. The day humanity would announce itself to the galaxy, not as primitives to be contained, but as protectors of those who couldn't protect themselves. Captain, the Devourer vessels are charging their absorption fields, reported Lieutenant Commander James Morrison from the weapons station. His fingers danced across holographic controls that looked crude compared to galactic standard, but worked with brutal efficiency. They're preparing to feed on our energy weapons. Sarah smiled, an expression that would have terrified most galactic citizens had they understood what it meant when a human bared their teeth in the face of danger. Good. Let them prepare for energy weapons, fire the kinetic rounds, full spread, maximum velocity, show them what accelerated metal can do. The Persistence shuddered as magnetic rails launched projectiles at significant fractions of light speed. The Devourers, configured to absorb energy, had no defense against simple physics. The first tungsten rod punched through a Devourer ship like paper, leaving a perfectly round hole that vented organic matter into space. The creature ship screamed across all frequencies, a sound of pain and surprise that hadn't been heard in a millennium. On Station Omega-7, Commander Korvac watched in amazement as the human ships demonstrated warfare that was both primitive and devastating. They used no exotic particles, no quantum manipulation, just mass, velocity, and an understanding of physics that turned the simplest concepts into weapons of terrible efficiency. The Devourers tried to adapt, shifting their forms to defend against the kinetic attacks, but the humans had more surprises. Deploy the atomics, Captain Chen ordered calmly, as if she were requesting coffee. Nuclear weapons were banned by every civilized species. They were considered too barbaric, too destructive, too indiscriminate. But humans had never signed those treaties. They'd been kept in quarantine, developing their own rules of war. And their primary rule was simple: you protect those who need protecting, whatever the cost. The warheads detonated in perfect sequence, not aimed at the Devourer ships but at the space around them. The explosions created pockets of superheated plasma and electromagnetic pulses that disrupted the Devourers' ability to maintain cohesion. Their organic forms, designed to absorb and adapt, couldn't handle the chaotic energy patterns created by nuclear fire. But the true horror for the Devourers came next. Behind the Persistence, more human ships emerged from hyperspace. Not warships, but cargo haulers, mining vessels, and converted colony ships. Every human vessel that could mount a weapon and make the journey had come. Earth's entire space-capable fleet, military and civilian alike, had answered the distress call. The mining ship Determination launched clouds of industrial nanobots, designed to break down asteroids but equally effective against organic matter. The cargo hauler Hope's Revenge fired modified terraforming pods that released aggressive bacteria engineered to consume carbon-based compounds. Even the colony ship New Horizon contributed, using its massive engines to create gravity wells that pulled Devourer ships off course. On the station, Dr. Yellen watched the battle through the medical bay's viewports. She had seen many forms of warfare in her long life, but nothing like this. The humans fought with a desperate creativity, turning every tool into a weapon, every weakness into an opportunity. They fought like a species that had spent its entire existence at war with itself, and had learned every possible way to destroy an enemy. The Devourer Collective tried to communicate again, broadcasting to all ships simultaneously. You cannot stop consumption. We are eternal. We are hunger itself. Your primitive weapons only delay the inevitable. This time it was Captain Chen who responded, her voice carrying across all frequencies so everyone could hear. You want to know what humans are? We're the species that split the atom before we cured the common cold. We reached for the stars while still fighting over dirt. We're backwards, violent, and absolutely unreasonable. And right now, we're the only thing standing between you and those people on that station. So here's what's going to happen. You're going to leave. Now. Or we're going to show you what a species raised on a death world can really do. To emphasize her point, the Persistence revealed its primary weapon, The galactic observers on the station gasped as bay doors opened to show something that shouldn't exist. A weapon that fired miniature black holes, each one lasting just long enough to tear apart molecular bonds before evaporating. It was insane, dangerous to the ship firing it as much as the target, and completely impossible according to galactic science. The humans had weaponized their own insanity. The first micro-singularity hit the largest Devourer vessel. For a moment, nothing seemed to happen. Then the ship began to collapse in on itself. Its organic mass compressed to a point before exploding outward in a shower of elementary particles. The other Devourer ships recoiled, their first retreat in recorded history. But humanity wasn't done. From the New Horizon came a broadcast in hundreds of languages, aimed at the station and any other ships in range. It was a young voice, probably no more than 20 Earth years. "This is Ensign Katie Wong to all sentient beings. We're humans. We're here to help. We've been listening to your stories, your music, your dreams from our quarantine. You thought you were keeping us in, but we were learning about you. And we decided that a galaxy with people worth saving is a galaxy worth joining. Nobody dies today. Not on our watch." The battle raged for 6 hours. The humans took losses, their crewed ships vulnerable to Devourer attacks once the creatures adapted. The mining ship Determination was consumed entirely, its crew of 50 humans dying as they rammed their vessel into 3 Devourer ships, detonating their reactor core at the last moment. The colony ship New Horizon lost half its structure, but continued fighting with emergency thrusters and handheld mining lasers fired through hull breaches. Commander Korvac ordered his station's weapons to join the fight, their energy beams now effective against Devourers weakened by human attacks. The crystalline shard resonated at frequencies that disrupted Devourer communications. Even Dr. Yelin contributed, broadcasting biological data about previously defeated Devourer specimens from the ancient war, information that helped humans target weak points. The tide turned when the Earth defense vessel Defiance arrived. It was smaller than the Persistence but carried humanity's most desperate weapon, a device they called the Reality Anchor, which stabilized space-time in a way that prevented the Devourers from accessing subspace. Trapped in normal space, unable to flee or call for reinforcements, the Devourer fleet faced something they'd never experienced. Fair fight. The humans pressed their advantage with ruthless efficiency. They didn't just want to win, they wanted to send a message to the galaxy. Earth was no longer content to sit in quarantine. They would protect those who needed protecting, fight those who preyed on the weak, and they would do it their way. As the last Devourer ship tried to flee, Captain Chen made a decision that would echo through galactic history. She ordered all human ships to cease fire. The damaged creature ship hung in space, leaking organic matter and barely maintaining cohesion. "Go," she broadcast to it. "Go and tell the rest of your kind what happened here. Tell them that humans are watching. Tell them that we're not the monsters the Galactic Council thinks we are. We're worse. We're the monsters that monsters fear. And we protect our friends." The Devourer ship fled, disappearing into hyperspace with a sound like reality itself sobbing. The battle was over. Station Omega-7 was saved. 2 million souls who had been marked for consumption still lived. But the real change was just beginning. Commander Korvac requested permission to board the Persistence. When he arrived, he found the ship's interior nothing like the advanced vessels he was used to. Exposed conduits ran along corridors. Manual controls existed alongside digital ones. The crew quarters were cramped and sparse, but there was something else too. The walls were covered with pictures, drawings, and messages, photos of families on Earth. Children's drawings of aliens they'd never met but wanted to be friends with. Star maps annotated with notes like, "They have beautiful music here," and "Their language sounds like singing." Captain Chen met him in what humans called the mess hall, where crew members were already sharing food with rescued station inhabitants who'd been trapped on the outer ring. She was smaller than he'd expected, showing signs of age and exhaustion, but her eyes held a strength that transcended physical form. "Why?" Korvac asked simply. "Your people owe us nothing. The galaxy abandoned you, quarantined you, forgot you existed. Why risk everything for strangers?" Sarah Chen smiled, offering him a cup of something humans called coffee. "Because that's what humans do. We're stupid that way. We see someone in trouble, we help. Doesn't matter if there are species or not. Doesn't matter if the odds are impossible. Someone calls for help, we answer. It's not logical, it's not smart, but it's who we are. The Galactic Council will not approve. You've broken quarantine. There will be consequences. Let them come, Sarah replied, her smile turning sharp. We've got 2 million witnesses who saw what we did here today. We saved lives, the Council wrote off. We fought an ancient enemy they said was extinct, and we did it with nuclear weapons and sheer stubbornness. I think it's time the galaxy reconsidered who the real primitives are. Over the next days, as human ships helped repair Station Omega-7, something remarkable happened. The various species on the station began to share their technologies with humans, teaching them about energy shields and faster communications. In return, humans shared their music, their food, their ridiculous optimism in the face of impossible odds. They shared their belief that any problem could be solved if you threw enough crazy ideas at it. The young ensign Katie Wong became friends with Tila from the station, teaching her human games while learning about galactic history. Engineers from both groups worked together, human creativity merging with alien precision to create hybrid technologies neither could have imagined alone. Dr. Yellen found human medical knowledge primitive, but their understanding of trauma, psychology surprisingly advanced, born from centuries of warfare and healing. When the first Galactic Council ship arrived 3 weeks later, they found not a destroyed station but a thriving community. Humans and 40 different alien species working together, laughing together, building something new. The Council representatives demanded humans return to quarantine immediately, threatening military action if they refused. Commander Korvac, speaking for the station and its 2 million inhabitants, delivered the response. The humans are under our protection now. They saved us when the Council couldn't. They fought for us when the Council wouldn't. If you want to take them, you'll have to go through us. One by one, other species stood with Korvac. The crystalline people resonated in harmony with human music. The insectoid races admired human industrial efficiency. The aquatic species appreciated human poetry about oceans. Even the warrior races respected human combat pragmatism. For the first time in galactic history, the supposedly primitive humans had more allies than the Council itself. Captain Chen stood beside Commander Korvac as they faced the Council ship. We don't want war, she said. We want to explore, to learn, to help where we can. But we won't be caged anymore. We won't sit by while others suffer. The galaxy is about to learn what humans have known all along. Sometimes the impossible just takes a little longer. The Council ship withdrew to deliberate. The galaxy held its breath, and on Station Omega-7, humans and aliens worked side by side, preparing for whatever came next. Because that's what you did when you were part of something bigger than yourself. You stood together. You fought together. And sometimes, against all odds, you won together. The age of human isolation was over. The age of human integration had begun, and the galaxy would never be the same.